This is the final page of The Raven. Now, I was going to do something like, as it says here, a lingering scene, perhaps a darkened street or a closing shot of a raven perched ominously, watching over the town. Now, the funny part of that is, it's kind of what the cover looks like. So I might switch up the angle of the raven so it doesn't look like the cover exactly. And I still might do like some hills in the background over here. So I'm gonna start with the hills and work my way up and then put the raven in the front. The raven's gonna be super close. But I think rather than him looking at you, he's sort of gonna be looking down at the town. I'm gonna try to see if I can make it look that way. Because of how birds move their head, it's very difficult to just draw it like I'm saying. So I'm just gonna go with rolling hills. I might throw some trees on the top of the hill because it's gonna be mostly black. You know, some hills like this, kind of like I see it. I grew up in Kentucky a little bit, so it does look a lot like that. That the hills will overlap and all kinds of crazy stuff over in the background. They keep going, and some of them are so big that you can't actually see outside of the valley that you're in. You just see the huge hill and like nothing beyond it. So, being from Florida when I first saw it, was pretty cool. Then you kind of get used to it. But then getting on, and you can kind of miss seeing the horizon. Being in there all the time. So I used to like to go up and hike with my friends. Sometimes we'd go up and like not hike necessarily, like backpacking and everything, but just kind of for the day we'd get up, climb the top of a hill, and just stare out the other valleys and stuff. It's really cool. It's a really intense angle to look down at a town. So that's kind of what I was kind of go for. It was a similar kind of effect, like you have the town down here, and then the raven sort of ominously perched on top of some big tree or something up here. And so while this is it's the foreground, but I'm going to do it on the same layer because I want all of this to be, I'm going to keep it simple. So I'm going to do a tree branch coming out like this. All right. And maybe just the tree itself. He's got, oh, no, we'll do this. All right. And this is like a wintry kind of, not specifically winter, but let's still like kind of fall. The trees are branching off, and all the deciduous tree, so the leaves fell off of it. And the same thing can be for the rest of the tree. You can kind of, give it some more branching. And maybe branch it off here. I want it to be almost Halloween-like kind of vibe. Say it's more or less that time of year. It's kind of cool. And then just going to do sort of like I haven't done this for this town. Most towns are by some kind of water source for historical reasons, right? We use them to steamboat things or float things down the river. My lat likes to act up when I draw because of the way I'm sitting. So I don't usually draw for too long a period of time. It irks my back a little bit. So, okay, I was thinking maybe there could be a water source, like a river coming down through this town. So it kind of sets that feel that this is the hillside back here. And just for the sake of having a guide, I'm not going to keep this necessarily because you're not going to see a sharp line like that. But just so I have something to draw towards, I'm going to try to do maybe the river coming around like this because it feeds your eyes on what direction to go. And then the town will be kind of over here. I thought about doing a street. To make sure I was recording. I thought about doing a street. I think that's okay. And let me just do... Here's a building one. I'm actually going to go black on black so you can't really see how that's still doing. Yeah, that's kind of okay. Those are really detailed. Something like this will work. I'm just gonna silhouette the town a bit and throw in some little houses. I'm gonna find them. I can just do like a kind of a cheap way to do it, but it'll work. So I'll do this as like a little factory area that I was messing with earlier. Actually, I'll leave the river for now because I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it, but for now. Um, yeah, let's just do a couple of little blocks over here. Like a crazy effect that the town's back here. And then I'm just going to do a few houses. It's just like little Pizza Hut looking homes, These will be silhouetted too. And so it's not a big deal. Let's do the roof. It's not a big deal if they don't look super detailed. Think of them as like Monopoly homes is what I'm doing. When you get your little houses in Monopoly. That's what I'm doing. Whoa. And there's going to be different sized houses. Sometimes you have the 2 stories, the little boxy homes. At least, in the South anyway. We have some ridiculous looking homes. Sorry, I'm just trying to figure out how I want to draw these. Again, they're going to be silhouetted, so I'm not too worried about how they look. I'm going to do maybe a little small road that runs by the river. Goes into this little neighborhood. What I'll do is I'll probably have like some lights on the houses and stuff, like maybe just their little windows will be lit up. Paradolia for the win. Looks like a little guy. Okay, so basically I'm going to do a couple more little houses. I'm going to do like a little garage on this one. The roof line comes out. Maybe I forget what they're called. They have like the little attic windows. There's a name for them. I forget what they are. And that. Again, we'll just have like some lights on some of these. So I'm just going for that basic silhouette kind of effect, like I said. Just based on the angle that they're at. You're just going to see the light and kind of going for like almost like a Tim Burton kind of thing. I'm just trying to pay a little homage to. Love some Tim Burton, man. As a kid, it used to terrify me, but I was also intrigued by it, and I got to be older and I appreciate it for what it is. Let's say they have a building back here. So I'm saying, like, you don't have to draw boxes like the way you were taught to do, where most people go like this. You don't need to do that. Also, like I said, it's really not good for perspective. If you want it to look more 3D, you want to make sure that there's a vanishing point If there's a single 2-point, 3-point vantage point, you just need to know what you're dealing with. Are you looking at two streets going, like say you're standing on the corner of a building and there's two streets either direction, that's considered 2-point. One vantage point, of course, is just having one in the middle or somewhere to the side or something. And 3, you have all the points. You have something vanishing off that way and this way and that way and this way. I mean, they're everywhere. But like a true, like if you have I don't know, I just feel like saying this is the single focal point, right? Like down a hallway. And then like 2-point would be if it was the horizon line, you have like let's say a triangle or a box here, it would vanish off that way. And then 3 is to say that you have this vanishing point going up and down. So you might actually have something vanishing towards. It's hard to explain. I'm not explaining that very well. Yeah, I mean, that is exactly what I'm saying. It is correct. It's the vanishing point that goes, let's say if you drew your building, see how this is. Yeah, that's what it is. It's not flat. Like you might have 2 vanishing points here. Let me back it up. This is just in case you want to learn about vanishing points. Guess what? You're learning. Look, so this way would be like you're on ground level, like you're laying on the ground like worm's eye view. That's the 2-point because they're going back here and here. And then 3-point would be there's another point down here, and say that you're in another building or something like that, and you have it like this, the center of the building. If there were like windows and stuff here, that's considered 3-point because it vanishes here, here, and here. Anyway, that's what I'm thinking of when I draw these houses. I try to remember that kind of stuff. So this isn't a huge town, but this is like a factory area, let's pretend, or maybe apartments or something, put their houses over here. So it's a relatively small area, but it's, big enough to have like a little factory and stuff. So we'll have that back there. And of course you need little trees. And these are meant to be silhouette too. So I'm just going to use these trees. I have a couple of different ones. We have these guys. As you go further back, you can use a smaller brush for the trees. Of course, trees are all various sizes and stuff too, so depending on what you have in your yard. And I have, get down there. This guy is huge. You're going to get pine trees. I really would like to do like an alternate pine tree, so it's not always the same one, but for this, it works just fine. A lot of times people put pine trees in rows, actually, like up there, up in the northern part of the South. I've seen plenty of people do that with the trees. And then in the front up here, as it gets closer to where the raven is perched up in this tree, we can do some dirt. Let me see if I can get, it's a little bit closer to him, so. A little bit of dirt or ground, as it says, and then some grass patches, and make these quite a bit bigger. This will go really stark once I go and start filling all this stuff in. So these houses, they're all going to be black, but then there's, like I said, these are going to be like little lights coming off of the windows and stuff, just to say that people are home. Nope, keeping it in. It's amazing. This way it looks like it's a town that's alive. You know, there's not just like some ghost town. Of course, not everybody's gonna have their lights on in the middle of the night, but that's normal. What is going on over? Oops. Ah. Just widen that. All right. And then this part of the, well, I don't like the way that looks. Okay. Just going to, when I'm doing this silhouette, I keep forgetting that this is not this is textured, this brush, so it's not coming out exactly what like I intended, but that's okay. Me fix. You get the feel. I could even moonlight from this side, but I think I might just leave it like that. Yeah, that's giving the feel that I want. My grandmother used to have these. I always want to call them Snow Village, but it's called Winter Village. They're a. What's going on with that? If you don't know, I'm sure you. I don't know if you would know what they are. If you're watching this, they're like little ceramic houses that you can buy. You used to be able to buy at the mall. Actually, they had a spot for them. Now you can find them kind of everywhere. Like they kind of fell out of fashion, I guess, but it used to be. People loved them. Used to be all popular. Ain't that the way it goes? I was never popular, so I don't know. There goes this. You know, like you're just kind of glancing at it. You're not necessarily looking at every detail. That's one of the things that I like about impressionist style art, like Monet, all that kind of stuff. They the point isn't absolute realism. The point is to capture the subject, and their subject at the time was light. At a time when photography was starting to take off, it was interesting to see because a road going in. I might grade this up. Yeah, during a time when there wasn't a need for portraiture as much anymore, unless you were higher class and you had the money to spend on it. But most people, they started getting into photography. Started to become a thing. Everybody could just hire a photographer. And then art became sort of more arty. She laughed. She shouldn't have laughed at that. That's a shame. That's a stupid joke. Okay. Refer to all layers. All right, so I'm going to just do a quick... You know what I'm saying? It'd be cool is if you can gradient with textures. I don't think you can do that. Or even just like a color fill with it. I don't think you can do that. But there we go. So this is going to give me texture still. It's going to take forever to paint, but it should give me the effect that I need. So he's not painting over top of the houses because they were not selected. Keep up, computer. Okay. And then see, that's cool. That's, at least it is to me. Let me do the same thing here. We have a problem. There you go. Keep wanting to grab that wrong brush. All right, so that's going to give the effect that I want, I believe. So you still see that it's a little town. I guess I could do the same thing with these little factories over here. That they're not always off. You know, sometimes to leave the factory lights on. And also, they, I was thinking of silhouetting this a little bit more than this, so I think I'm actually gonna, hang on. I think I'm just going to, okay, I'm not sure why those are connected, but let me just do this. There we go. I guess it's connecting, somehow it's connecting the dots there. Just going to color fill that black. There we go. Oh, it looks more like a downtownish kind of area, or, you know, it could be whatever you want it to be. Just use your imagination. And then, yeah, we're gonna, oops, merge this down. The cool thing about these brushes too is, like, if I don't like what I've done, like, it's very easy to go back and do it again. Let's just blur. Let's try a blur. So it kind of smudges the edge up. And then here I can kind of smudge this up. Pull this way. I'm trying to pull this black down. It's kind of being, there we go. I mean, it's going to be a pretty good big picture like this, so you're not going to see that much detail of that. I'm going probably way harder than I need to, but that's okay. So I'm going to do black on the hills. The sky will be just a little bit different, like a slightly grayish tone. And then this other side over here I need to do. Maybe if I'm going to try something, because reasons. I'm going to use the bucket, and I'm going to fill that and see what it does. I don't hate that. I don't hate that. So let me turn this off. Wait. I'll turn this one off. Color fill this. I could do sort of a negaposi, but I think Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out what I want to do. I'm winging it on this one. Color that one, color that one. Oh, it's not going to close the gap on that, is it? Yeah, so you can't even see this anyway. I was thinking about. I can put the building. See, that's cool. That's going to do just fine. And then for the line here, I need a bigger brush. Yeah, we'll just texture this up, clean up the white that's in here. All right, so it's like the base of a hill and the river is flowing all the way back through there. I'll just do some sparkles or something in the river. And I think I'll just do the same thing I did here for... That's the wrong one. Hang on. There it is. So this one right here, I'm going to hit this with the that same brush here, but the dirt brush. It's going to be a little bit bigger. And then that should do just fine. Of course, the riverbank, it's going to be a little bit, it folds off usually. You see like a, a dip off. So I'll fix that. I just want to get most of this taken care of. It's just meant to be a stark background for the bird, the raven. My God. Okay. Okay, it actually worked. Wasn't sure it was going to do that. And then there you go. That's nice and dark and creepy. And then I just need to do the silhouette up front here. And then I'm going to put the raven. There's going to be some sparkles, actually. I'm just doing the background first. I don't usually do the background first. This is like the second time I've done that. Let's do droplets. Let's see. Space it out a little bit. And go with a larger brush, maybe. Yeah, that's kind of cool. All right. I think this is kind of what I used before, so I'm going to I'm going to select this thing, and then I'm going to try to like sprinkle in that effect and see if I can get it to... Oh, Lord. That's the wrong thing. Airbrush. This is supposed to be an airbrush. I have used many airbrush. I have used airbrush many times. Can't say that it feels like a real airbrush. Like the texture, I'm saying, like it's one of those things very difficult to mimic. This, when you do it big like this, it's really close. But there's no size variation by pressure. It shouldn't be transparency. It should be the thinness of the line, but they decided to go transparency for some reason. I don't know. It's pretty standard, and it's not really how they work. When you use airbrush, if you pull back, you get a fatter spray. So you would think by pushing down, it would give you a tighter spray, and then as you lighten up, it would pull the spray back as if you were pulling back on the trigger and also moving back. I don't know. What do I know? That might be too much. I'm just trying to see if I can get... I don't know what the thickness does either. It's the thickness of the particle. Okay. There we go. I just wanted a subtle effect like that. I mean, we could always make it look like it's a riverbank, but he's pretty good distance away. I'll still do it. Let me just do one more thing. I'm going to go ahead and just merge all these together, and I'm going to drop the opacity. I mean the tonal correction. I'm going to bring the hue saturation all the way down for the saturation, so that, oops. Tonal correction. Pull saturation all the way down, so everything is black, and then, or gray, and then everything down to luminosity. So that gives you the feel. There's something off in the distance over here. And then now I can gray tone the sky, which is what I plan to do. I'm going to go with like a, let me find these. Grayish. Oh, it's grayish hued. I see what it's saying. No. Here's the gray tones. Let me try... Yeah, something like that works. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the background of the whole shebang, actually. That way, when I'm going to do these tree branches, I just realized I didn't do my tree branches first. Oh, no. Oh, crap. Oh, there we go. That's what I wanted. Lock that first. Let's do this first. Let me add this other color. Pull this down. Okay. And now I can go back in over here and take out wherever there's light. This will make the light pop really, really hard against this gray. Makes the town seem really ominous. This little black, it's hard to tell that this is a river and this is the road, so I'm going to switch up the darkness a little bit on the road. Whoops, wrong place. Okay. Yeah. Actually, happy accidents. I mean, that's not terrible. I meant to do it here. Always I'm going to take 1,000 years. Yeah, apparently it's going to. Okay, so for the... Oh, it's referring only to. Hang on. Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Come on. Oh my god. Okay, that's not gonna work. Oh, I'm picking the wrong thing anyway. When it's black toned like this, it tends to. It tends to bleed a little bit. That's a 1 and close gap, so that better work. Okay. Oh, I see what it's doing. Okay. Well, I'll just have to do it kind of manually. All right, so let's try this darker. Oh. Let's do something like that. And then I will color here. It was just selecting all the black connected to itself. That's what was happening. So maybe now it'll work. There's 2. Nope. I can already tell if it takes that long. It's crawling through the entire picture, which is quite big, and that's why it's taking forever, despite my computer's not slow. So what I'm going to have to do is kind of manually paint it, which is fine. I mean, it doesn't take that long. Really, if I'd planned this a little better, it probably wouldn't take as long. But whatever. It's what I did. I just want the street to be a little bit different than the river. Obviously, it needs some kind of texture, but kind of works. And then I need. Oh, I did it again. Okay. Now I should be able to give it some texture so that it looks a little bit more like you'd expect the road to look. So I'm going to go at something like the spray in a darker tone. Like that, but much smaller. Let's see. Then I can just blend this out. Getting the tones where I like it. Painting instincts, you just kind of do that, and then you just kind of do that. Blender, texture blender. I think that looks a little better than it did. It's still really stark next to the road, or next to the grass and stuff. And I think it's just because it needs to be blended a little bit. If I can do that, it might soften it a little bit. love that. Well, poo-poo. Okay, let's see. If I wonder if I can use a... Oh, wait a minute. Soft bleed. I was thinking of the blenders, and I forgot there's watercolor here too, which can do sort of the same thing. Kind of gives it a little bit of texture like it's been driven on. I think that's kind of cool. So I just wanted to paint like an ominous kind of scene, like I said. And then I think if I grab this, yeah. See, it's very subtle, but let me do a blender. Maybe texture blender, painter blender. I'm a painterly artist. Oh, I realized that's because this is on the wrong layer. So, yeah, there we go. So the shoreline, so to speak, of the river as you come around. This is not going according to plan. Okay, I'm going to merge all this stuff together. And then I'm just going to do it this way because I need the colors to mix a little better. What are you doing? There we go. It's not trying to do too much now. That way, when you're looking at this from a realistic standpoint, it actually makes a little bit of sense. Like I said, I'm not trying to go for absolute realism, but I want it to make sense, you know? So let's do something like that. So the river kind of disappears into the background. Gets a little darker as it gets around here. It's very difficult for me to paint digitally like I would on canvas and like on a real canvas. Physical, real, you know. I don't like to say digital is not real. I mean, it's real, but it's just a different experience. And I'm just used to painting traditionally. I wanted to leave it with like these novels I used to watch when I was a kid, I used to read as a kid. We read as kids, and it was creepy. What was it called? Stories to Tell in the Dark or something like that. What, babe?
I said, oh, yes.
I think it's Creepy Stories to Tell in the Dark, I think is what they were called. And they were for, being like 12, 11, 10, somewhere in that range. I remember thinking like, I think by 7th or 8th grade, I was like, hey, Goosebumps aren't too bad. But I remember reading the other ones first because I loved the how creepy the drawings were. Some of the stories were pretty intense. They were, I don't think I'm not sure who approved those for young kids, but I mean, I was always into darker stuff as a kid, but like, I don't know. I just remember thinking like, I don't think these are age appropriate, even as a kid. Like, it's cool. I like it, but I don't think they're supposed to be. I don't think we're supposed to be reading these. I don't think that's going to close. Tisk tisk. I'm going to have to paint these. Oh, man. What do you think? What do you think? I want to do this on purpose? Like, I want to draw? Oops. Yep. Ah, jeez. Okay, whatever. I guess that's just never going to come back again. That's awesome. There's that. What if I drew the perfect line and it just disappeared? That would suck. Yeah. I have no idea what I'm drawing on. Am I drawing on the blue? I think I am. Okay. Let's back the trolley up, add another one, and I'm just gonna run over it like this. Oops. Get at least somewhat close to what I drew. So it's supposed to be a rickety old or a deciduous tree that has just lost its leaves because it's the fall. Deciduous meaning it loses its leaves in the winter and gets them back. A lot of trees are like that. Flowering trees tend to be deciduous. I don't know if there is a flowering tree that isn't deciduous. If there is, I'd be interested to know. There might be. Those are 150 million different species that we know of angiosperms, which are flowering plants. Told you I study biology. And know a thing or two about some bio, man. I hadn't even figured out where I'm going to put this bird yet. He's going to be over here somewhere, probably on this branch. Let's look. Yeah, he'll probably be up there, looking over the town. But he'll be in more of a direct light. You know what? I don't even know why I'm stressing that. I'm going to have to paint over it anyway. Like it's going to be a silhouette, like I said. The branches will be silhouetted, but the bird won't. The raven's not going to be. I think I did it. Let's not have the gap close that much. All right. Let's not close it at all. Let's see what it does. Let's see. It's wanting to. The tolerance is too low. Or too. There we go. Don't be a nincompoop. All right. Boom. Boom. Uh-oh. I did it again. I have to close the gap a little bit, I guess. That's not going to do it. It's a lot of finicky crap I have to do to get the stuff to work the way I want it to. In a lot of ways, Adobe is easier to use. I think it's just because I've used it for so long, but I do really like this program. It's really, really nice to draw with, which is the whole point, right? Adobe is fine to draw with. It's not like it's a bad program for that, but I like that this is intended for comic books. I don't know. It just feels like it was meant to do this. I'm going to lock this. Turn this back on. There. Now, ominous vibes. I kind of wanted to redraw him positioned that way. Well, this is getting to be kind of long, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to go to one more drawing. If it's too long, I'll cut it into 2 parts, but I think it's going to work. Oh. Might fix this. See, this, it's very subtle. The town is out here because, you know, he's... I guess I could do some diffuse lighting from the lights of the homes and stuff like that. Like, just very subtly have it be a little brighter. Just around the area. Oh, you know, I didn't even think about this. Street lamps. But we actually don't have a lot of street lamps in our neighborhood, believe it or not. So I'm going based on that. I'm going to leave it like that, but I think, you know, you'll have diffuse lighting from the windows and stuff where it might be. I'll just use an airbrush for it because it's very soft, subtle effect like this, but obviously kind of like that. But something just brighter than what's there. Yeah, see, just kind of like the implication that there's a window up there and here, causing all this light to kind of scatter. Oh, I just realized this. I should probably do this on a different layer, but that's all right. It's not that big a deal. It really feels like there's some light emitting from these homes. And the idea is to kind of draw your eye this way and then into the home this way. So your eye's kind of wanting to go here, and so the bird is going to be sitting right about there, staring down at the what you call it, the homes, the neighborhood. I just need a reference of a raven from the back of his head because they tend, like I said, they look with the side of their. They have their face to the side. Of course, Raven from Teen Titans shows up. That's not exactly who I was thinking of. I actually drew that reference. Where, oh, where could it be? I think maybe, yeah, that'll work. What I'm gonna do is put his feet on here. So I'm gonna draw him and kind of like fix them onto the tree branch down here. So I'm gonna get rid of that background so I can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna draw sort of the back of his head. He's gonna be kind of looking down. There's sort of where his head would be, and upper part of his body. And I'm going to scale him down too. He's something like that. His tail comes down right around here. And that's sort of his breastbone-ish area. You good? Okay. We're just going to do the main part of his foot. Doing this is kind of like a silhouette almost, but I'm not going to silhouette him. He's going to be drawn. The meat of his foot is kind of in here. I mean, he'll be heavily shaded, but so something like this. This is the reference I'm using. This is how he kind of looks. And he's got his feather, his wings kind of tucked behind him like this. And then the back of the bump of his head is like right here. And then his wing bone comes up right around there. And his feathers are kind of interlocked. You can't really see his wings together. And I'm going to erase this head portion because where I started doing this. Normally I would just draw like the body, like I would draw the head and then I would draw the body like that. I mean, that's a lazy way to do not exactly like that, but I'm saying I would do the head, then I would do the body, then I would do the feet. But since he's from this angle, I want to get the mass of him first. I blame Ryan for that. The awesome Marvel, he awesome comic artist, I should say, that he is. So he's going to be looking out over the. So I like to just have my pen or my pencil just kind of like gliding when I draw. So he's going to be kind of looking out towards the town, although, you know, his eyes sort of over here. They're fine. I'm not worried about it. That's no bueno. No toilet paper is no bueno. That's not fun. His tail should come down a little bit more. All right, that's the basic idea of him. So he's standing like on the branch of this tree. And he's a bit big. But at the same time, he might actually work. I might actually keep him that size. So what I'm going to do, let's put him kind of like this. And his other claw is going to have to come down behind here, holding him against the tree. Yeah, they're talons as it is. It's not actually claws, they're talons. Tear you apart talons is what they are. So he's just going to be standing there. His other foot is hidden behind his tail feather. Tail feathers, I suppose. So his it's got a little bit of overlap here on this feather. Or feathering, or whatever you want to call it. Okay. So now that I know that's good, I'm going to actually get rid of that so I can see what it is I'm doing, and we'll lock this. And I'm going to drop this down to 50 first. I hit 50 without even having to try. Look at that. That's crazy. So now I can add the details that I wanted to add. I want to make sure this is a little bit too pronounced. It actually should be, and I'll just do it so you can see what I'm saying. All right, we're going to do, that is way too vague. Something with some weight to it. Okay, so on this comes down like kind of like that, out to the outer side of his body. And he has an under tuck there. His one part of his wing. Let's do this again. Now, it's always like, oh, you could do that digitally, but you can't do that in real life. Well, on real paper. The thing is, like I said, there's such a thing as whiteout. And also, I have more control when I draw on paper. I don't tend to make mistakes like that. This glass is slippery. Even with this texture that's on here, it's very slick. So I tend to skip past where I was aiming for. I think that is cool. And then we're just going to pull this down to here, more or less. Yeah. I try to drag my hand across the page or the tablet, but it still kind of like hangs up sometimes. I'm going to overshoot this because it kind of goes into the back of his neck, sort of rolls here. And he's got this big old chunkiness. His big old eyeball. Let's see. We're going to go here. Circle. Like that. Makes him look nice and creepy. Pull some of this black down. Just going to pull his head over. And he's got this sharp beak. Their beak is like hooked downward. And of course they have that feathery like texture on their beak. I can't even think. All right. And then of course just, no pun intended, but wing it. Okay, maybe a little bit pun intended. The further you come down here, the more detail you have, say like in his feathering and stuff. And then of course this will go all the way down. And these overlap. But I just want to make it look interesting. Again, it doesn't have to be absolutely realistic. I think I went a little hard on the cover for realism, but that's because it's the cover. That's the first thing you see. So I wanted him to look really striking. And also why I reused him a couple times. But I feel like he deserves to be drawn again for this. Because this is the end of the road. Fall to Haven. Well, at least the comic is. I just wanted to see if anybody was interested in this and if there was any chance that it could do well. And if it does, then I'll do more. If it doesn't, not a big investment. And it was fun to do. Learned a lot of stuff. Hang on. Let's. and just impression that there's feathers that come in here. They have a lot of folds on their feathers and stuff. It's kind of funny because in this picture that I'm drawing from, he's actually in like a I don't know if it's early morning or overcast or what. So, but it's kind of cool because it kind of feeds exactly what I needed. You can search for the perfect reference, but you just sometimes have to. I'm not going to do it again. Wing it? Yeah, I did it again. No, sometimes you just have to kind of feel it out yourself and draw in what you think needs to be drawn in. I think it looks pretty good like that. Again, I'm not going to go super detailed on all of this stuff. I just want to get like some kind of scaly feather effect on him. Like I said, your brain will do most of the work. He just has a lot of feathery look to him. I think he looks pretty cool. Now putting him against this, he looks totally wrong because he's not colored. Let me see. Going to gray tone him rather than pure black. Just make another layer instead of doing that. I'm just gonna do like a color layer like I normally would do. Color him in, color him in. That ain't gonna work because I'm not picking the right damn thing. Refer other layers, not two other layers, because that's just too many letters to put in there. Now they tend to be more blue in tint, but since this is a black and white comic for the most part, I'm just going to leave it gray. All right. There's that. There's that. His beak should be a little lighter. And then that same... same sort of tone for the top of his head. I think that works. It's going to be indirect lit. Yeah. Okay, there he goes, standing on the branch. I'm probably gonna make that branch just a little bit thicker, but let me make sure he works first. There you go. I think he's sufficiently creepy. And now I just need to make this branch thicker. Because the weight of him, he feels like he's too heavy for this tiny branch. The whole branch is going to just snap, I feel like, under his weight. So I'm going to make it a wee bit bigger. It feels a little bit more substantial. Maybe a little longer. And a little thicker here so that it doesn't feel like it's falling over as easily. I think that'll do. And with that, I do believe Hafen has come to its completion. I have to go back and do all the ink. I went ahead and just did this final page because I wanted to see how it would come out. I think it's cool this way, and it very much gives me that. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. These obviously are incredibly illustrated. They're beautiful, beautiful work. And as a kid, I just thought they were terrifying and also fascinating to look at. So these are scary stories to tell in the dark. The stories are great, and the artwork is terrifying. I mean, look at this. Imagine being like 10 years old and you're reading this, and you're like, I don't think I'm supposed to be reading this. My wife says it's horrifying. Like, look at this dude. Like, what? It is. It's nightmare fuel. It's horrifying. I mean, like, look at this. What the hell is that? Like, it looks like somebody pulled a cadaver out of the morgue, and instead of taking him to the, to the medical school, they just filled him up with water and said, here you go. Here's a person to draw. What the hell, man? This one isn't as terrifying, but I'm fairly certain I know what story that is. And I think it's the story I told you before. It's freaky. The little scarecrow guy. Remember this one? He peels the skin off of another guy. You gotta read it. If you haven't read these before, go read them because they're terrifying in the best way. And I really think they should have got a proper show like on Netflix or something, but whatever. Oh yeah, that's horrible. I forgot. I'm glad they changed the art and scary stories to tell in the dark. Yeah, no kidding. Stuff is horrible. I wasn't going for that exactly. I didn't want to be this detailed about it. There's a difference between doing one illustration for one story and trying to make the whole story with your illustration. Yeah, they significantly changed. What even is that first? It was very surreal. Why does this keep doing that? It was very surreal imagery for what it was. And anyway, that's way off subject, but I just wanted you to see what the hell I was talking about. This is horrifying. Anyway, I was doing more comic book, but all right. So hopefully this has been useful to you, or you like it, and I'm ending it on a much darker note. Get it? Yeah, because darker tone. If you don't know, in music, tone is note. Technically, a tone is a frequency or a pitch, and therefore a note, and on a darker tone, a note. All right. With that, I bid you adieu. If you made it this far, thanks for hanging out with me. I just need to go back and finish inking everything, and then I think, and shading it, and then we're done. I do have a couple dialogue parts I need to do, but that shouldn't take too long. But I'm gonna go ahead and edit those, record those as well. So thanks for hanging out. Catch you in the next one.